So here we are, we're working along, we're doing stuff, and then we think, I haven't set my system restore.
One question, are we recording right now?
Yes.
So, are we?
Okay. I want to make sure that we are in case I miss a step. I can go back and review this.
Good point. So what you do, if you've got Windows 10, you go down here and you search, you type where it says type here to search, and you type restore. And you see how it says create a restore point.
Oh.
So you come up here and you click on that baby. And you have to tell it where you want to create the restore point by selecting your C drive. And then, this is the hard part, you click create. And you give it a description. I'm going to give it today's date, 07/25, and morning. All right, my job is done for the week. It's going to create that restore point, and then you'll have, and I'll show you the restore points that I've got in a minute.
Now, how is this different from backing up to an external hard drive?
When you back up to an external hard drive, you're backing up your files. This will let you, and if then you get like a system, Windows system corrupted, you've got your files, but you're still going to have to reinstall all the Windows and all the software. I had all my files backed up, so I didn't lose any files, but I had to go and I had to reinstall all the software because your backup does not do that for you. Now, when you do a system restore, and then if you want to restore it, you click on System Restore, and it gives you the list of your past restore points. So you can go back to whichever of the ones was working fine. Okay, I was working, you know, so I did one here when I had most of the installations done, just because I got nervous and I didn't want to, you know, have to redo what I'd done. And then I did another restore point that evening when I got all the installations done. And then here we've got this one this morning where I've done a bunch of installations. So you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff lined up. Oh, it is a little more complicated.
So where do you start it? How did you start it? Right?
Okay, so you start down here where you've got your search box and you type restore.
Wait a minute. Go back. Where's the search box?
It should be next to your Windows Start button.
You may have an icon that is a magnifying glass only.
Right.
Right beside that window, yeah.
No.
Type here to search.
Otherwise, if we click on the Windows Start button and we open up our settings,
Yeah.
and then we go up here to settings where it says find a setting, and we type restore.
Oh, I can do that.
We've got create a restore point. Now, when you, the very first time you do it, you select the drive. I jumped over this and I'm glad I came back to it. You have to select what drive you want it on, and then you have to configure it.
Oh my.
It's not that hard.
It looks like it.
Well, then you come back and you follow what my steps are.
Then you call Kay.
Okay. The only thing you have to set is your disk usage space. And the first time I had it, it was like, you know, 1/3 of the disk. And so I said, okay. That means that it can use up to 1/3 of the disk for filling in all of those system restore points. But you see here, currently I'm only using 12 gigabytes and I have 3 system restore points. So that means each system restore point is like 4 gigabytes. Well, I'll be able to have 100 of them in this 600 gigabytes. That's too much. So after the fact, I came and I moved this down to, okay, that'll do. See, I'm using 12 gigabytes right now. I can use up to like 74 gigabytes for my restore points. Now it says here, you can adjust the maximum disk space used for system protection. That's your restore points. As space fills up, older restore points will be deleted to make room for new ones. So I'm gonna get like, how many times does 4 go into 74? I'm gonna get like 20 restore points, and then it's gonna start deleting the older restore points. All right. And
okay, so it doesn't override.
To apply. What was that?
It doesn't override it. So you have one segment, then it goes to, I'm going to use the word segment. So one segment to another segment to another segment, and then it says, okay, I'm stopping because there's too much, and now we're going back to erase the first one.
Right.
Is that how that works?
Right. Exactly. Okay, so I save it. So let's run through this again. All right, so I'm here, I'm working, and I'm thinking, oh my God. In fact, this is what I'm gonna do. I've changed my computer's name, you know, my Alexa to Echo, because I got tired of her talking to me whenever I mentioned my computer. Yes, I know. Okay, so now her name is Echo. Echo, set me a reminder. What's the reminder for?
Knows a little thing, isn't she?
Every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Okay, I'll remind you every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Every Saturday at 10 a.m. she is going to tell me.
Big Brother is listening, Kay.
I don't give a damn if he can tell me something that's going to save me from losing my computer. I love Big Brother. All right. So Big Brother's telling me it's time to restore my set point. So I go to my Windows Start button. I open my settings. I find Restore, and I choose Create a Restore Point. I select this disk. I can check my configuration. I'm only using 12 gigabytes. I have another 60 to go.
I found some readers. I'll see if they'll work.
Now, what's the disadvantage of leaving that little cursor all the way over? Why do you have to bring it down?
That means that you'll have less space for your regular files. So this is my, my whole hard drive has 1.82 terabytes. That's, you know, all the software that I've uploaded, all my photos, all my music. So every
You want those included at your restore point?
What was that?
You don't want those included in your restore points?
No, those are saved. There's two things going on. There are your personal files. Well, I'm using hand signals, which doesn't work. There are your personal files. That's your
I'm
photos.
Italian, it does work.
Yeah, your photos, your music, your documents. You need to have those on a cloud system so that they are being saved on the cloud. You may want to have an external drive where you save them on an external drive. If you're concerned, for example, that let's say that you lose internet and all your taxes are on the cloud, well, you're up the creek. So you want to have an external drive as well as
get them
cloud.
over here and quit stretching my glasses out.
Now,
I just turned into my father.
The system restore is for the system, the operating system. It is for the Windows registry and so forth that runs your computer. And so you need to do both.
So it's kind of like the cloud holds your filing cabinet, but the system restore holds your office room. Would that be a good analogy?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like a no. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's like,
it's okay, forget it, move on.
well, here's a metaphor. The system restore is the car, and your photos are the people who get in the car. You can't get anywhere without the system. You can take the people, if you have your files, your photos, your documents, your everything on a cloud drive, you can call a taxi and get in another car if your car doesn't work. And so you can drive those files around in another car. You can buy another car. But if you just want to repair the car so you can just get back to using your old car, that's what system protection is for.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
So I have made sure that I'm currently using 12 gigabytes. I'm going to drop it way down, you know, that gives me plenty. And I apply it and say, okay, I'm good on my configuration. Make sure that you've turned on system protection. This doesn't work if you've disabled system protection. Okay, so I'm okay there. And I select the local disk and I tell it to create a restore point, and I give it a name. And whoops, boing, boing, and it goes, and it doesn't. So, you know, you can never have too many restore points. Well, I mean, you could if you had 1.8 terabytes of them, but it would take you a long time to get that many. But definitely, this is something that we have to be doing on a regular basis. And I don't want anybody to tell Gil that I didn't do it when he told me that I should be doing it. Okay?
Nobody learned the hard way.
Gave you a computer tip?
He did.
How is that possible?
He did. Not only that, I added it to my to-do list 2 years ago. Never got around to doing it. So, and we say, okay, and we're all done. I want you all, if you do not want Big Brother telling you, I want you to put it on your refrigerator. Have you made your...
Look, I just made it. See, look.
Good. You saw how easy it was. I feel so stupid. It saves you hours of work.
Now, is this something, just a quick yes or no, if you know the answer. Since I'm moving to a new computer, is this good only on my existing computer, or is this something I can move to my new computer?
No, this is just your existing car.
Okay.
If you buy a new car, you're going to have to set up restore points for that car.
Okay.
You cannot just transfer the engine from one car to the other.
Okay.
Good, that's a great metaphor.
And you say do this once a week?
I'm going to, because I don't ever want to go through what I went through.
Okay.
And I figure if I do it once a week, I won't forget.
Okay.
If I do it once a month, I may never do it at all.
Does Windows 10 have some type of, like they have an automatic defrag and stuff like that, where they can do an automatic restore point?
They do, and I have found them not useful because they delete the automatic restore points once you use it. So what happened was, this is where what happens. Everything is working fine, and Windows updates, which it does periodically. When Windows updates, it will create an automatic restore point before it updates.
Really?
And it will delete previous automatic restore points so that you will have one automatic restore point. And then it does the update. And that worked fine for me when about 6 months ago, my computer went down. I went to do a system restore, and I saw that I had an automatic restore point. I didn't quite understand, but I was like, oh, well, that's good. And I used that automatic restore point. Everything came up fine. And so I thought, well, I don't need to create a restore point because I have this one. And so I went on. And then last month, Windows updated again. It deleted my existing automatic restore point, created a new one, and then installed the update. And when I went to do a system restore and I tried to install that restore to before this recent update, for some reason it was corrupted and it would not restore. And that earlier restore point that had worked beautifully for me was gone. So I am going to make sure that I have plenty of system restores. It may be, you know, as Diane pointed out, it may be because I've got an older computer, but I can't really afford, I looked at the new cars and I can't afford a new car.
I understand.
So I need to make sure that I am checking the oil on a regular basis. God, I am going to beat this metaphor to death.
I love it. I do have two questions. One, I apologize.
How old is your car?
Oh, I'm on mute. Damn it.
I think it's from 2012.
Wow.
I know. It's old.
I have two questions. First, I apologize for not knowing the first answer because I was desperately looking for my glasses. Couldn't find them because I can't find my glasses. So my husband, I just turned into my father for the first time, put a reward out for my glasses, and my husband retrieved them. When you are setting your
reward out for Ethel Cotter.
I told him about that. He likes cake. When you set your parameters for the maximum usage for your restoring, I was listening when I was looking at, but I don't remember what you said. Is like 10%, or is that enough? Or how much did you say you should?
I don't think it's anything to worry about, really. Just look at what your current usage is.
That.
And compare it to the amount you've got set for the maximum. If I had it down here, that's a little too close to the maximum.
Where do I find the amount I'm using?
It'll show automatically, doesn't it?
Okay, so you have brought up, let's do that again. We've gone to the Windows Start button, we open Settings, we type in Restore, we select Create a Restore Point.
Yes, I'm there.
All right, We select the drive we're going to use,
Yes.
and we tell it to configure the settings.
That's the step. Okay, now I'm there.
Make sure
right there. It's
turned on.
Oh, okay. It says my current usage is 8.44 gigs.
Good. And just make sure that your current usage has plenty of space to work with.
Gotcha.
And then hit apply, and then hit OK. And close her down.
So I just once I've done that, I've created a restore point.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
All right. So this was because Tina asked the problem. She had an ancestor that may have been. What's your question, Tina?
Well, I have an ancestor that may have been adopted into the family. He's always been said that he's part of this family. DNA says he's not.
Oh.
I went and researched his parents. Come to find out, the people that everyone is saying is his mother. She's like 11. I can't remember exactly, but like 11 years old to the day when he was born. And I mean, I know that it's humanly possible for a child to conceive at 10 years old, but I just don't. I'm not buying it. And she doesn't marry the man that they say is his father until he's like, I don't know, 13 years old. Anyway.
Oh, sorry, Diane.
Anyway, long and short of it is these are not his parents. I think he may be adopted, probably in Alabama, maybe Georgia, Florida, one of those, but probably Alabama. And so I'm trying to find out if there's any records out there that will let me know whether or not he was adopted.
All right, so that's where we are. We have a question, and it turns basically.
You know she's doing this on purpose. Diane, come back.
It basically it's a question of law. We want to know were there legal records that would be able to give me more information about this man. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to find what does Alabama call its book of laws? And so I just enter the term Alabama statutes, and it comes back, I'm seeing like Code of Alabama, okay. Now, you don't need to do this, but I wanted to show you what is current law for adoption in Alabama. And so this first is for, the first entry here is for Allison DB legislature.state.al.us. I don't know what that Allison DB is, but this looks like an official state of Alabama site. So I clicked on that. It was not possession of firearms. It turned out to be, yeah, the official site. So this is the Code of Alabama in 1975. What's going on here is, you know, every year the state passes laws, and then every few decades they compile them into a comprehensive code. And the last time that Alabama compiled its comprehensive code was in 1975. I don't quite understand how this can be the current code, because it seems to be quite old, but this is the current code. Okay. So if we go to view the code, we can see here that we can look at topics, and there's Title 26, which covers infants and incompetence. And we open that, and we find down here, Chapter 10, Adoption of Children, and it has all of these subsections: the fee for investigation services, disposition of monies. Then we have this thing called subsidized adoption, and these different sections. The purpose of this Article 2 for subsidized adoption is to supplement the adoption Alabama statutes by making possible through public financial subsidy the most appropriate adoption of each child certified. So there's all of these different rules now and laws related to adoption. So let's now go and look at what adoption law used to look like. So I go here, and doing a legal search is now much easier than it was the first time I appalled and horrified Diane with this presentation. So now we know that the compiled Alabama statutes are called Code of Alabama. So I'm going to do a search for Code of Alabama in asterisks, and I'm going to search Hattie Trust, Hathitrust. Hattie Trust is one of the, the great triumvirate, the 3 sites that do digitizing of books and putting them online so we can see them. Hattie Trust, Internet Archive, and Google Books. I know from experience that Hattie Trust does a lot of legal books. So that's why I limited my search to Hattie Trust. And you want to write that name down, because when you're looking for digitized stuff and it might be legal, this is definitely a go-to. You're going to want to know Hattie Trust anyway. So I get all of these catalog records, and I noticed the first one is approved February of 1897. Well, that's good. That would be like the end of the 19th century. And I'm just curious to see what the law was at the end of the 19th century. I mean, we're interested in earlier than that, but I wanted to see just for the sake of comparison. So that opens up the catalog page for that item. And down here, we have the viewability. We can view volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 1 is probably going to be civil, and volume 2 is going to be criminal law. So I'm going to click on volume 1, and you see the original sources of the New York Public Library, and they digitized it for us. By the way, over here on the side, we have similar items. Here we have the Code of Alabama from 1887. Here we have the Code of Alabama from 1923.
Sorry, guys, I gotta go. See you next week.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mama drama at this particular time was good.
Oh,
Bye.
no. All right, so I've got Code of Alabama. I'm going to take a look at it. It opens up the front page, and I'm going to do a search where it says search in this text. I'm going to search the word adoption. It's a tough word because, of course, a lot of stuff gets adopted. But when I scroll through the 44 results, I do have a lot of adoption of the Constitution, but down here I see adoption of children on page 196. So I go ahead and I click on that, and that takes me to page 196. I scroll down and we have chapter 4, which covers the adoption of children. And so we've got paragraph 364. Now I need to get more familiar. These are the earlier paragraphs that this was known by. So right now, this is paragraph 364 in the Code of Alabama of 1897. It's going to show up as in earlier codes of Alabama by these numbers. So if you're smart, you would write these numbers down. And so this paragraph talks about the marriage of the parents legitimates the children. We have bastards, inheritance by and from. We have proceedings to legitimate bastard children effective. This is where the father of a bastard child may legitimate it. We go on to the next page, and it's getting at the topic that's of interest to Tina. The proceedings to legitimate bastard children effective, and it says the father of a bastard child may legitimate it and render it capable of inheriting estate by making a declaration in writing attested by 2 witnesses, setting forth the name, sex, age of the child he wishes to adopt, the name he wishes it hereafter be known by. All right. That's the reason people did adoptions, was in order to assure that a person could inherit as an equal child. So this is any person, whoops. Okay, so this is the 1897, 364, 365. Okay, oh, I guess I went down another line. Oh, I went down another page.
Yeah.
Right. So this is 364, 365, 366. So here's 367, the mode of adopting a child. Any person who wants to adopt a child to make it capable of inheriting his estate, to change the name, this is how they would do it in 1897. They would make a declaration in writing, attested by 2 witnesses, setting forth the name, sex, age of the child he wishes to adopt, the name he wishes it thereafter to be known by. Notice how it's he. Yeah. Well, because he is the person who has something to pass on to an estate. She generally doesn't. And so they are going to file this with the judge of probate of the county of his residence. So it would be at the county probate court that this paperwork would be. Now, let's go back to Hattie Trust. And we
suppose the child is not the son or daughter of a father, and just someone who he wants to adopt.
Okay, that was where, here it's the proceedings to legitimate bastard children where the father does it.
Yes.
Here it's the mode of adopting a child, any person desirous of adopting a child, so as to make it capable of inheriting his estate, real and personal, or to change the name of one previously adopted. Those are the reasons why a person would adopt. And so any person...
You think that stuff is on file somewhere, or
it would be?
I don't think.
Yes, it
my
would
question.
Be. It would be.
I don't think people did that. I don't think people did that.
Only if they had an estate and they wanted that child to inherit that estate as their child. So if you did not have any land or personal property, then there was no reason to go through this process, because you were going to have to pay $1 to the judge of probate. So the only time that somebody would adopt would be in order to provide them with some monetary inheritance. Or if for some reason you wanted to change the name of, well, no, this is to change the name of one previously adopted. So really, the only reason you want to adopt a child is if you have something that you want to leave them, you want to be sure that they can inherit it. And that's the same thing that we face when we're looking for a will or a probate record of any deceased ancestor. You're not going to find a probate record for your deceased ancestor if they did not have an estate at the time of their death. And now they may have owned land, but if they were, as they were getting on in years, they would have deeded that over to their child, and their child would have the deed in their, in their pocket that says that it's their land. They wouldn't need to take that down to the court and have that recorded just because Dad died. Everybody knows that, John Jr. owns Dad's land, or that, Mary and her husband now own Mary's dad's land. And so.
And what time frame is this that we're talking about?
This is, for probate, this is going on into modern era. If you don't have.
I'm talking about the adoption part.
The adoption part. So this right now is 1897.
Through 1897.
Right, 1897. And now when I go here back to Hattie Trust, and I'm doing a search for Code of Alabama in the catalog, and I'm selecting full view only. I want to be able to read the text. And I've set the title to Code of Alabama. Now I search. Here I've got the Code of Alabama from 1852. So we're bracketing this time period that you're concerned about and seeing what was the law at the beginning of the time period, the mid-1800s, and the end of the time period, 1897.
That definitely encompasses my time frame.
Right. And you can go down and narrow it down more and more. So we have here the 1897. And if you look at the sidebar, you can actually pull out the publication date. But I wanted to get this 1852. So we go and look at 1852. Again, I do that search in the text for the word adoption. And I scroll through, and here we have adoption of children. So I click on that. And the section legitimating and adopting children, we go through, and remember I said that those numbers, here's 2008. Let's go look back up here. There's that 2008. So that tells you, paragraph 2008, that was from 1852. So that's the earliest mention of adoption of children. Then we had a Code of Alabama where it was in 2404. This was probably the Code of Alabama. Well, this might be the Code of Alabama of 1877, and this is the Code of Alabama of 1887. So this is 1852, 1877, 1887, oh no. This is 1897. This would be 1877. This would be this would be 1887. This is 1877. I don't know what year this is, and this is 1852. So these numbers are telling you how many codes there were prior to the current one you're looking at. And so you know that you're going to be looking, if you want to check each of the published codes, you would want to check each of, you're going to need to check 4 more codes. Okay, so we look at that, and we have any person desirous to adopt a child so as to make it capable of inheriting his estate, real or personal, or to, this is exactly the same text. So that, the text, the law regarding adoption in Alabama from 1850 to 1897, any adoption that took place, you're going to find that in the probate, the county probate court for the county where he resided. So you'll need to find out where he resided, where the father resided, because the father would be adopting the child in the father's court of residence.
Which in this case doesn't help us any, because the person they say is his father has a will, and Amos Dorsey Chambers is mentioned in the will as being this man's nephew. So
Okay.
it's interesting to me, this case, not only because this is part of my family and it's one of our brick walls, but I had joined with some of the family historians who've been researching this case for some time, and two of which are doing it through DNA processes. And I'm a document scout. I actually collect death certificates and marriage license and birth certificates because that's my thing, and people think I'm weird. But so I went to Alabama, went to Bruton to get this man's death certificate and to get his father's death certificate to see what information I could get from it. When I got in touch with the lady that is working on this through DNA, I said, hey, have you ever noticed that this mama probably is not the mama, because she would have been 10 when she conceived, and she wasn't even married to the husband when this child was born. And they say these are his parents. And I just found it mind-blowing that she had never looked at those dates. All this time they've been researching this people, but she'd never put that part together.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to help, I don't think.
I don't think so. Most adoptions prior to the 20th century were informal, where, the child just now comes to stay with us and we're going to call him our child. And frequently it was a case of a nephew being brought to live with, the uncle. The nephew's mother was, she died, and the nephew's father may not have been able to take care of him. And so the child was sent to live with his maternal uncle and ended up spending his life with his maternal uncle.
But that's the thing. I don't know if it's a maternal uncle or a paternal. I don't know. Right. So I'm back at square one. Right. So then I need to look at all the things I do know about this person and then try to figure out, where do I look next?
Right. I mean, in this case, most likely, what's his name? The guy who was
Amos Dorsey Chambers. Okay. I have him pulled up here on Family Search if anybody wants to follow along his.
Yeah, let's have you share.
Oh, okay. Where's the work? Okay.
Well, I have a question. If you have personal property, land or whatever, and you write up a will, you can leave it to anyone. It doesn't have to be a relative with the same name.
I think that what they want to do is you can leave an amount to a person, but if you want somebody to inherit an equal share of the estate as a child of that person,
you
that I think would be more complicated, because I'm not sure I'm not sure if I could say I want, like such and such charity to receive an equal share of my estate as each of my children does.
I need you to enable screen share.
Let me ask you a question. In my opinion, most adopted, I don't think they were really adopted, because if they didn't comply with that law and they just accepted a child into the family, is there a list of what, is common law anything, or is there something called, I know a lot of people say if you live with somebody for a certain amount of time, common law will protect you. You're married, you're considered married. So if I adopted a kid from across the street because his parents died in an auto accident, and I never went to probate with that, and we just called him Johnny, I mean, is Johnny entitled to any of my estate or no?
No, he wouldn't be. Because if you have an estate, you have to take a legal step to make sure that he has legal rights.
Enable
with common law, I mean, the point of common law was to protect women, to ensure that if a woman had, lived with a man under the understanding that she was his wife, that she would have some, fiduciary rights on his death.
But does common law only
applies to a
marriage?
To marriage, right? You do
well,
not.
What is the question? How about this? A lot of times you hear possession is 9/10 of the law. So what does that mean? Is that valid, or is that just hooey?
No, it's it may be valid on things like trespass, and if you allow somebody to use to have right of way on your property for 20 years, you can't suddenly take it away from them. I mean, there is that kind of law. But when it comes to your property and who gets your property, the state has a very specific formula for how that is doled out. And
so the best thing to do is just put the people that you want to have the property on a deed, right? That would make sense.
Right. And if you're, and so a lot of estates that are fairly simple, the families do the doling out while they're alive. They give their shares out to the kids, and then the youngest kid ends up getting a deed that says, I deed this to my daughter Mary in exchange for her love and affection. In other words, Mary is going to take care of me until I die, and then she's going to get the land,
and how we do it in my family is we go ahead and add, like my dad, he went ahead and added his kids, or the ones that he wanted to inherit the house. He added us to them as tenants with rights to survivorship, which basically means that we all own it. Last man standing gets the house, I guess. Right now, my dad passed away, and we're dealing with this because my sister and I now own the house. Now we each have the right to sell the house. But if one of us disagrees, it has to go through what's called a partition lawsuit, and we are in the middle of a partition lawsuit right now to sell this house. And it's because all the responsibility has fallen to me to pay the taxes and do the upkeep and keep insurance on the house and everything. And I have a younger sister that has a lot of life problems, and she's not contributing. I don't live there. She has all of her stuff in the house. I mean, when she moved out, she walked out of the house. It's fully furnished. I mean, there's food in the cabinets and clothes in the closet, like fully furnished. She just walked away. So legally, I can't do anything about her possessions in the home. And I am still responsible for the taxes and the upkeep on the place and cutting the grass and all of this. And so what I want to do is sell it so that she can take her part and buy her another home, and I can have my inheritance and not have this hanging over us. Ideally, my dad had hoped that I don't know why, but he thought we would live together. The house isn't big enough for two families.
Right.
He knew this was his problem child, and I'm the oldest, and I guess he was hoping that I would finish raising her, or I don't know what. But she's she's in her mid to late 30s, and she's an adult, and she doesn't want to be raised, So,
Good try, Dad,
but she also doesn't want to sell the house. What she wants is me to allow her to live there and continue to pay the taxes and the house insurance.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that.
Sounds like a fine deal.
I have some people in the family and others that think I'm being selfish, but I don't have it like that. I don't. I've been a stay-at-home mom my whole life. We've lived off of one income. We've been a modest family. And I even if I did, I don't know that I would, but I'm not taking care of, she's a drug addict. That's what the issue is. And
you can sell your share to those other family members who think.
Oh, they don't want it. Oh, they don't want to do that. Yeah,
the ones who
that
think
part.
That you're being selfish.
Oh no, they don't want to do that.
Offer. It's like,
but they don't want the property to be out of the family because my grandparents built it and it has sentimental value. Well, yeah, buddy, it has sentimental value to me too. But right now it's a big headache. So anyway, I digress. But the way our family has always done it is we have gone, when they were still alive, they went ahead and added the people that they wanted to have the house with rights to survivorship, joint tenants with rights to survivorship. So then we don't have to go through probate. But I'll tell you what, this partition lawsuit cost them more than probate would have. So,
so what gives you the responsibility of paying taxes and cutting lawn? Why do you do that?
Because my name is on the property and I don't want to lose my inheritance. I don't want the state to take it, or I don't want it to be taken and sold on the courthouse steps for back taxes and then I get nothing out of it. And I'm the one that spent years taking care of my dad, knowing that I was going to recoup some of that cost when either owning the property.
Look in that shelf unit in the back or in there on your, look in there.
And it would be, like a rental property, or we'd lease it, or I would sell it, or whatever. But that was part of the expense because I don't live close to that property, for one thing, and my dad lived there. And so every day was like a 60-mile round trip to go take care of my dad. There was a lot of wear and tear put on my car, and anything he needed, I bought him, and I don't begrudge any of it for a minute. But I also went into it knowing that at some point I would probably recoup some of that or all of it, knowing that my dad had already put my name on this property. And to be honest, Ian, there's been a couple of times throughout this I've thought about throwing my hands up, taking my name off of it, and walking away. But it's a $200,000 property, and I don't want to.
Right.
I mean, I should get my share.
Right.
Yeah.
And ideally, I would love to not sell it. I would love to keep it in the family, but that's just not going to be possible in this situation. If she's going to use it for a glorified storage unit, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to continue. Well, I am right now because we're waiting for a court date, but courts are closed because of COVID. So, so it's been a long, drawn out process, and the property wasn't deeded right through one of the transfers. My grandmother wanted to get my dad's name off of that property really quickly. When my dad and my mom decided to get divorced, my grandmother did not want my mom to have a chance of the courts giving it to her. So she took some shady ways of having this thing deeded, and that's caused some problems. That's probably the biggest expense, has been getting this property put back together, because we've been dealing with her will and some probate issues. But it's not a problem. It's just lawyers want a whole lot of money to do it.
That is the definition of why records are made. They are always made because there's money involved.
And one of the things we have learned through this, the better way to do it than the way my family has done it, there's been two ways my family has done it, and that's the rights to joint tenants with rights to survivorship. Also, my grandfather didn't want one of his children to inherit anything, so to make his will airtight, he willed him $1. So then he did will him something, and he couldn't fight or break the will, supposedly. But we've learned a living will is the best way to go, because then you still own your property until the time of your death, and then it transfers to the person that you want it to go to. And maybe don't put so many people on it, because when my dad did it, he put his wife, me, and his other daughter, my half-sister, on this property. So there was 3 of us in the beginning of this, and boy, has it been fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, we are not talking genealogy. So whenever Kate gives me the permission to take the screen, I'll show you my guy. I did. Okay. I missed it when you did that. Okay. Where are you, guy? Here we go. All right, so this is Amos Dorsey Chambers, and well, this doesn't link to who is said to be his family, but this is the information that we have on him. He was born in 1875 in Alabama, and I have his death certificate that also verifies that information. His death certificate, the informant on the death certificate is his daughter, and the parents are named as unknown. Well, you would think a daughter, if Amos knew who his family was, who his parents were, you would think the daughter would also know.
Well, he died in 1966, so he was like, 80 years old. And his daughter just may not have remembered.
Yeah, he was 90 years old.
Okay, yeah. His daughter may not, she may have been in her years as well. And remember, it's a very stressful time.
I do, yeah.
Having to, put this death certificate together, and you really don't give a damn about these questions they're asking. My dad just died.
Right.
So,
right. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Although when mine died, by that point I was doing genealogy and studying to be a genealogist, and it was very important to me that his death certificate reflected accurate information. And would you believe it or not, my stepmom and I have an argument at the funeral home because she wants my dad listed as being an engineer. And my dad was not an engineer. He was the superintendent on an engineering project. There's a difference. And I knew my dad would not want to be, but she's one of these people that likes to put on airs and up with the Joneses. And I knew my dad was never that guy. And in the end, she's next to kin, so she was going to get her way, and that was fine. In the end, it was just like, like you said, I'm like, screw it. He, it is what it is. But she had given the funeral home people such a hard time, and she'd gotten out of there without signing it. They ended up contacting me to verify the information, and when they did, I told them, that engineer thing needs to be changed. And then, you could go ahead and put it through. So in the end, it worked out for me. But yeah, it was one of those.
You got to pay attention to the dotted line. If you walk off without,
you're gonna show your butt and leave. Well, they don't want to. They don't want to deal with you.
Yep.
So anyway, so we have Amos Dorsey Chambers, and maybe if I do this. Okay, see, I have it in my research tree because I wouldn't dare attach these people over to family search. I think it was at one point, and I detached it once we found out this is definitely, Martha Chambers is definitely not his mother. Whoa, wait a minute. Where's Martha Chambers coming in at? Because that's new.
She's 40 years old at the time.
Oh, wait a minute. That's different. I must have pulled this from somewhere, but I don't remember doing this because it had, let's see. I may just have to go to Jasper and pull him up. That's what I need to do. There we go. All right, so Jasper Chambers.
I love your icon.
Well, this tree isn't, it isn't available for people anyway.
Brilliant.
But I started using this because I know for a fact I've got friends that do it. They'll just pull off of a tree. Oh, that's a leaf. That's my people, and just add it to their stuff, and no one fact checks anything anymore. So I started adding that so people would maybe, I don't know, maybe red and yellow will be a flag and say, hey, this is a
I love the let's talk.
Yeah, because I also want people to contact me. Let's talk about it, Let's see if we can figure this out, especially the people that are, there are people out there that are genuinely wanting to know the truth about these things. Some people don't care. So that, if you want to steal that, you can.
I think it works.
So, okay, so we've got Jasper Chambers. He's born in 1840. His wife, Sarah Smith, born in 1864. When you look over here at Amos, he's born in 1875.
Right.
I just have a hard time believing that could be his mother.
So
that's how it started. That's how it started. Then I went and got.
Wait. What was it that that implied that Sarah was his mother? What was the?
Every tree I find online says it is.
Okay.
That it's the case. That's really all it is. And that I got pulled in on this because one of my cousins is researching this family line. They're trying to find out if there's a Native American connection and some other things. And she does most of her research. I mean, she does the, documents for sure, but then she tries to back it up with DNA research. And when the DNA was not adding up that Amos was from this line, now he is connected to the family, but not this particular line, she contacted me and said, hey, can you take a look at this? Well, first I wanted to start with the documents too, and I went and I wanted Jasper's death certificate also, because there's a whole nother backstory with him. So I went and got those. And when I got, the very first thing is I'm going to look at the case, and I'm looking at who are our characters, who's our players, and we've got Jasper and Sarah's supposed to be the parents. First glaring thing to me was, how is Sarah his mom when she's, less than 12 years older than him?
Right.
And so that was my first flag. Then I get his death certificate, and I hope it's attached here. I'll be mad at myself if it's not attached here. It should be attached here because that's actually where I first found it, was here.
Bottom, at the very bottom.
That's it. Okay. So I go, because I found his death certificate here first. Oh, of course. I got it. Hang on. I'm sure that I have it. I just got to, give me a duplicate window where I can get Amos pulled up separately without having to go back and forth.
There's his death certificate.
Okay. So here's his death certificate. Make it a little bigger here.
It would make me feel a lot better if you would download that and upload that to Family Search.
I'll do it.
Thank you.
It never clicked with me that it wouldn't be there, since this is where I found it to start with. But I forgot, you've got to go to a Family Search, but I will do that. So we've got, he died February 27, 1966. We have his birth date is July 1874. So maybe like what you're saying, that she just doesn't really know this stuff. Who knows what her relationship is? By her, I'm talking about Miss Aubrey Emmons, who is actually his daughter. Who knows if they had a close relationship or not, or if, I don't know. But this is the first time I really remembered that there's not a date there. I mean, there's a July 1874, but not an actual day.
And now,
it says he was widowed 2 times.
Two times, yes.
He had 2 wives. Maybe the first wife is the mother of Amos.
No, this is Amos. Looking at Amos's death certificate.
Whoever is in question.
This is Amos, is who we're trying to figure out who is his parents.
Oh, okay.
So Aubrey is Amos's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And Aubrey doesn't know exactly when he was born because he's 91 years old. He may not have known exactly when he was born.
Right.
Did people do cakes with, candles on the birthday?
I've learned this family not so much, honestly.
Yeah. So.
So this is the information we have from that.
Right.
Now, then I went to searching Jasper a little bit more, and I find his death. I went to ask for his death certificate. Turns out that they have no record of him dying in Alabama, although we do know that he did die either in Escambia County, Alabama. Escambia County, Alabama, or Escambia County, Florida. Florida will not let me search for his death certificate because it's not 125. I don't know. Maybe. No. I'm thinking wrong on that. I think you have to be 100. So I can search for his. I haven't done that yet.
Because I can see Florida death certificates that are as recent as 1939.
And he dies in 1912.
Right.
And I also wanted the birth certificate for Jasper. And when I went to ask for his birth certificate,
you won't find that.
No, because they didn't start keeping records until 1908, I think it was, or 1912. Right. They didn't have to keep those records. How do I get this window at the top to go away so I can see my windows? I don't know.
So what do you have, what records do you have for Amos?
Okay, Amos. Let's see what we have. Let me see what I actually have on here. So I've got his death certificate, one of what I believe is his marriage license.
Let's take a look at that.
Nope, this is one of his daughters. Yeah, that's one of his daughters.
Okay.
Let's see what this one is.
Hello? Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, Bernice is the... Huh.
Bernice. Okay.
This isn't... I'm not sure why this is attached here. Okay, Sarah Jane Chambers, who we think is Jasper's mother, who we thought Jasper was his father, Amos Dorsey's father. So we have a Bernice Yon Connor. We should see, and she dies at 49 years old. She dies in 1964, though. That doesn't make sense. Oh, Sarah. We thought that, okay, there's a Sarah here that is Jasper's wife. So maybe that's why it was attached before I detached Sarah from this file.
Well, let's go back to Amos and see what else we have for Amos.
Okay, that's all that I have, I think, here on this one, and then let's go to the best one, which is Family Search.
Yeah.
So we have him married. Oh, that's what's going on, I think. So he marries Hattie Linda Lee. Was that what that death certificate was that we were just looking at? Was this for Hattie?
No, that's for Bernice.
It was for Bernice. That still doesn't make sense. Okay, I'll quit digressing. All right, so he marries Hattie Linda Lee in 1895 when he's 20 or 19.
I want to see the records.
Okay, then let's go over here. Let's go to Family Search. We've got the 1940 census, 1957 Alabama marriage, which is probably a marriage for his daughter.
What's the earliest record we have for him?
Okay, 1910.
We don't have the 1900 census?
No, that's been part of my thing, is how to find him in the 1900 census.
Okay.
Because here he's married. He's head of the household by now in 1910.
we need to find him in 1880 and 1900. Have you found Jasper in 1880 and 1900?
I think I have him. Yes, I've got him in 1880, and I don't have him in 1900.
Interesting. All right. Okay. So what else do we have aside from the census records for Amos?
Okay, for Amos, we've got a census record, another census.
1920, we have his daughter, we have 1940, we have his daughter's marriage, then we have his find a grave and his death. So where was he living in 1910?
In 1910, here we go. He is in Escambia County, Alabama, Owens, a little bit north of me.
And in 1920?
And in 1920, he is this the census? Yes. He's also in Owen.
Owen, okay. And what about Jasper? So we have, Amos is fairly stable in at least for a 10-year period. He's fairly stable.
Okay, Jasper, we have him. You want to know where he was?
In 1910.
He's in Owens.
In Owens. Where was he in 1880?
We don't have him, and we don't have his.
have
Oh, wait a
him.
minute. I do on my other one, don't I?
Right.
Yes, I
Flip
do.
over to,
Okay, 1880. He's in Henry, Alabama.
where is Henry compared to Owen?
Good
Oh, that's a
question.
different county. Henry is in the southeast, and Escambia is in the southwest, right? So we have a family that could have migrated. And he could have picked Amos up at any point.
He's living with his mother here, or his mother's living with him in
Right. He's
1880.
42 years old. And he definitely does not have a 5-year-old son with him.
Mm-mm.
And when did he call Amos his nephew?
That's in his will in 1912, I think. 1912. In this will that we have here, let's see, it's probably in the first page. Actually, it's probably the second page. Come on. All right. Right there at the very top line, he is deceased, the first page says leaving no wife and no children, but one brother, Frank Chambers, age about 58 years, residing at Wallace in Escambia County, Alabama, and Dorsey Chambers, an only nephew, age about 37, residing in Wallace in Escambia County, Alabama.
Okay.
And I think Wallace and Owens are about the same place.
So that would suggest that Dorsey is
Frank's son?
well, not necessarily Frank.
Okay, good. I was like,
but that Dorsey is Jasper's nephew and not Jasper's wife's nephew.
Okay.
So,
Why?
well, because if he were Jasper's wife's nephew, there would have been no need for him to change. If Amos was, the son of George Smith and Irene Chambers, and Amos was born as Amos Smith, he would have been known as Amos Smith through his whole life.
Unless it was like siblings marrying siblings, in this case his mother married a Chambers, that would be the only way that he would probably have the Chambers name.
Right.
Unless he took on, everybody was assuming he took on Jasper's name because that was his son, or I don't know, adopted, but
that really wouldn't.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it might if he had been adopted very young. But we know that he was already 5 years old in 1880, and he wasn't living with Jasper. And he
Right.
was never, and Jasper did not call him, my adopted son, or my foster son, or anything like that. He was always his nephew.
So we could just focus on Jasper's line, looking for one of Jasper's siblings, or the other question I had was, could it be a great nephew? And if it was, would they say great nephew, or would it just be he's my nephew?
I would think that they would say just he's my nephew.
Yeah.
So we'd be looking at Frank's siblings and or Frank's parents' siblings.
And I'd like to see Jasper's family. What do we have for Jasper? Who are his siblings? I mean, it is possible that Amos is the illegitimate son of one of Jasper's sisters.
Okay, so here's where it gets even more complicated. Okay, so Jasper.
Jasper. Woo.
Jasper's family, okay, they say that his mother is Sarah Chambers. That we're pretty sure of. They say Sarah Chambers' sister, and Richard Kennedy, what is Sarah Chambers' sister's name? I want to say Elizabeth. But so let's say her name is Elizabeth and Sarah, sisters, they say, and I don't believe that, but they're sisters, and they both fathered or had children by Richard Kennedy, who is an Indian. In rural South Alabama in the 1800s, that they lived in the same household. He had kids with both women. Basically, polygamy was happening. I don't buy that. I think they would have been lynched. He could have been lynched just for being an Indian, much less doing this. This all got started because there was a researcher that was trying to put as many Native Americans on the rolls as possible, and he came to this area and he talked to the Indian chief, the Creek Indian chief, and that chief told him, "Oh yeah, I think you're talking about the Chavers," and he told this researcher that Sarah's kids and Elizabeth's kids, they're all Richard Kennedy's kids. Okay. And for whatever reason, the whole family, I don't know, maybe they just love a juicy story, but they've all believed this. So there's a really known researcher in our family, Doris Newsom, who was doing research, and she had written to, this is back when, boots on the ground, you got to write and wait and all that to get your information. So she had written to this researcher asking, because she was just trying to get her Indian card. And he gives her this information of what the Indian chief had told him. She writes it in her genealogy records, which all of us have copies of. But she also notes in there that the only proof of this that she's been able to find is that in the census, she does see them in one census, she does see them in the same household. Now, no one ever references that she's not been able to prove this except for the census record, and everybody has just ran with it.
Right.
Well, the census record at the time that Doris was looking at it was very hard to read. And I have since looked at it, or this is what I've been told by my seniors in my family. I've looked at it now, and my first question is, well, why in the hell do y'all think they're in the same household? If you look at it, they're next door to one another.
Show us.
Okay. Let me find that. So I need to go to Sarah, which is, oh, I don't need to do that.
We wanted to see Jasper, right?
Yeah, in Sarah's household.
Now, did I see a couple of 1850 censuses for Jasper?
Yes, I think so.
Family search? Okay.
And I believe this is the one that's going to show, yeah, this is the one that showed, they say, I think this is it.
Okay, let's take a look at that one.
Yeah, this is it. Okay, so can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay. If you look right here, this is Richard Kennedy, and I was right, his wife is Elizabeth, okay? And they're in household number 1144. And all of these people are named Shavers until you get, or Kennedys until you get to Sarah Chambers, and that's just another one of the variations of our spelling of our name.
Right.
And then her children are listed. But do you see that the next household is 1146? They skipped 1145. And yeah, it does look like they're all in the same household, but her household is 1145. Then I go and look at
page.
Then I go look at
scroll down a little bit more.
1147.
Yeah, I want to see. Yeah, there's so it's definitely because I see that he wrote
it's
over
chronological.
1145, and then he wrote over it as 1146.
No, yeah.
But then I went to land records, and they're living next door to each other. They're not in the same household. So if this is the only piece of evidence they have to say that Richard had all these children, then I say this isn't true. Now, second point is there is a will out there for Richard Kennedy. He doesn't name any of these children in his will. Now, I thought that was a key thing until you just told us about the adoption thing. So these kids couldn't have inherited any of his property if they didn't carry his last name, I assume.
Well,
based on the lesson earlier today.
If he did not legitimize them, if he did not
even if he
would have,
he couldn't add them to his will.
Right. I mean,
okay, so
like you said, you can leave something to anybody, but if he says I leave it to my children, well, you don't have to name all your children in your will. You only have to name the children you're leaving stuff to. Um,
And in today's times, you have to name, if you don't want
Right.
one that you left out of the will to break the will, you have to leave them something.
right.
Something.
Whereas you could
$1.
have given, some of your children their share already. And so then the will doesn't name every one. It only names the children who still need a share. So
Well, in Richard Kennedy's case, he doesn't name any of Sarah's children, and I thought that was a big deal, but apparently not
and
so
so we've
much
got
from what I learned
Sarah
today.
has Betsy, Martha, Jasper, Newton, and
Eddie.
Seth.
No, that's
Eddie.
no, it's a male.
Oh.
I forget what is his name.
4, 7, 9. So that's ages 4, 7, 9, 12. Is that 12 or, yeah?
Looks like 13 to me.
13 to me. You know what? We can pull this up there. If you want to look at their transcription here, we've got,
Well, it says 12.
it says 12.
Well, you look at the 3s above. It's got the tail like a 2. His 3s don't have.
So you see his 2 right here?
Yeah.
Right.
His 2 right there. I'm pretty sure that's a 3. But in any event,
Okay. And then we have a jump to 18. So there's possibly a child in between Martha and Betsy who might be working out. He would be about 15, so he might be working out in 1850. All right, so let's go back to Amos and see those other 1850 censuses for Amos.
you mean Jasper or Amos? Because I don't have any for Amos.
Sorry, Jasper.
Okay.
And that was on Family Search.
Oh, okay. Jasper, that's the 1850 we just looked at.
So we've got 1850. Now, why do we have 2 copies of that 1850?
I have one added by you, and
but it's odd that they would.
let's see if it's the same one. Why does it say Casper on one too?
Right.
That's the one that we just looked at. That's the right one. Oh crap. Okay. Let's look at the one you added, and it's also the same one.
Okay. I wonder why. Click on that. Oh wait, let me see that link. Open the link on the one up above it. No. Scroll down.
Down.
Click on the one above it.
Above where?
The 1850 that's at the very top of the page.
Yeah. Okay. Right here.
Scroll up. Yeah.
I'm at the top.
Click on
This.
that.
Okay.
Click on that. And that's hold on. Darn it. I want to use your computer. Okay, let me
You want me to open a duplicate screen so that you can see
that's all
both
right.
of them? No.
I was just comparing to see if by any chance they were different. So somehow they've got, okay, scroll up for me. And I want you to click Review Attachments. I want to see how it can have it attached to 2.
Right. And then right there it says, this source is attached to someone else in the family tree. Sarah Chambers is identified as being defined by the user.
But we're
So
looking at Jasper. So scroll down.
Right.
And it's showing it that it's only attached once.
How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, let's go back to Jasper and minimize that.
Teach me how to do that, because that drives me crazy all the time and I don't know how.
Okay, just scroll back up to the top.
Okay.
Click on the black letters again. Click on where it says Jasper Chambers.
Got it. Okay.
And
let's review this one and see if it's it would have to be attached to him, wouldn't it? Because
right. We'll deal with that, I have
another time.
How it gets attached twice.
All right.
Okay. And so now.
All right, so the 18, you wanted to look at the 1800s.
18, So we were missing, I thought that there were
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So that's that third one, where it's in the household of Michael Kennedy. Click on that one. And
That's not him, I don't think.
Betsy, Martha, Jasper.
And he's not born in North Carolina.
Let's take a look at that page.
You mean open the...
Yeah, open the page.
All right, that's where the Kennedys start. Boy, this is faint.
Is it the same thing, just a bad picture of it?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
Scroll in on that 3. Let's see Martha's age. We wanted to see. So zoom in really close.
Oh, Martha. Okay, yeah. And this could have been the original one that they were looking at, that they thought that he was in the same household.
Right. So that's the same document.
Mhm.
And this is why they ran with this, but nobody looked at.
And you can see it's not actually Michael, it's actually Richard.
Right. And his name is Richard, yeah.
Right. So they've just
it was transcribed, but I can see where someone think that was an M, an I,
Yeah.
C, H,
So
A,
we
L.
don't have multiple censuses, we just have multiple copies of the same census.
But this is good because this shows me what Doris was looking at, that why she could think that maybe this was
Right.
what they were saying.
Right. All right, so let's go back to the list of records for Jasper.
Okay. So we've got 1870.
So we don't have the family for 1860. Do we have Sarah in 1860? Or any of her, well, Newton, because Newton would be even younger than Jasper. So do we have Newton? And I love his unusual name. Do we have Newton in the 1860 census? No.
No, we only have 1850 here. And I don't think I even have him. I just hit the wrong button. Go back.
And so even on Ancestry, we don't have the family.
No, just 1850 on Ancestry as well.
Okay. What are some of the other children that are in that household with Sarah? There's that Heath or Keith. Is there any additional research on him?
Here they have him as Phil because that's what it looks like on families. Or it looked like on that census. I have Frank. Do they have Frank?
Well,
yeah, they do have Francis Marion. Huh.
Unless that Frank is spelled. Let's take because they have Frank 3 times. So let's take a closer look at the best copy we have for that 1850 census.
Okay. Sources. It's probably this one. Is this better than the other one? I don't think this, we saw one clearer than this.
Yeah, no, I think this, no.
You think that's the one?
Let's keep that one and open another one as well.
Okay. Let me go back to Jasper. Sources. I think I just opened the same one. How do we tell the difference in which one is which?
Well, don't worry about it. Just look for the best one that we can. Each of these is getting opened in a separate window, so we can
Yes.
see is that one.
But that thing at the top, Oh, you can move it. Okay, there we go. I moved it. All right. I know this one is different from this one, and this one seems to be a little more legible because we can actually see that's Richard.
Let's go in. Let's.
We're looking for Sarah's.
I'm just looking at.
We've got.
Can you close the image index on this?
I can. Right? That? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. We've got. Now this is interesting.
Sarah.
This is the 1850 census. This is a separate copy. This is showing her in a separate household. You see the dwelling and household numbers. So did this
Why did they have two copies of the same census?
But it's not the same census. This is a completely different census.
Okay, I'm going to click over to the other one. Is it not? Wait a minute. There it is. 1850. No, that's the same one.
That's the one we're looking at.
That's the same one we're looking at.
Okay, then open another one because there's the.
There. Okay, they're all Henry County, Alabama.
Right.
All right.
So close
this one. Yeah, because see this is that one with that 1146.
Right.
It's Richard Kennedy. Oh, let me get rid of that. This actually has a person in the household after. Wait a minute. This one over here has Frank, right? Well, where am I at?
Sarah.
That one doesn't have Frank. Where is the census that we're looking at? Okay. Okay, see, this one has Frank and Newton and Jasper. These are the characters I know to be in this family. This other one has Betsy, Martha, Jasper, Newton, and
that's Franklin.
Fell.
I don't know.
Okay, so
these are two different households?
Just the same household, but got that section of the county got enumerated twice. And so let's scroll to the
complete discrepancy with. Oh no, it's not. But we don't have. Okay, that's Frank. That right there is Frank, where it said we don't know his name. That's Frank because
Frank, Newton, Jasper, Martha, Betsy, Sarah. Frank, Newton, Jasper, Martha, Betsy, Sarah. So they're the same household. It's just that it got enumerated twice. Let's scroll to the top of that page and see the dates, and you'll see it's actually in different handwriting. So it looks like they were at the. So this was enumerated on the 12th of November by, what's that guy's name? James Siri?
Henry?
Could be. Let's look at the other one and scroll to the top of the page.
This is the 18th of September by James Saracey.
Okay, same guy. He just enumerated it. Two months had gone by. He had forgotten he had already covered these people.
So I guess that happens once in a while back then.
Yes, it does. Which
never knew that.
I wonder whether he got paid for the page. All right, so we've got.
And in the first one, he has a kid in here that he doesn't have the second time around. So has this child died? Has he gone somewhere?
Are you talking about?
The youngest one that is Frank. Wait a minute, no.
Fell or whatever.
No,
wait a
minute,
no. He has him.
4 years old. He is Frank on one census and Heath on the
other. I just got it wrong.
It's just he got the name wrong.
Or who can read it?
Right. No idea what that what that says. Okay, so
Maybe he was sent to do it again because nobody could read this man.
yeah. Not
And he
only
knew he
that,
had
but
mistakes happening.
Look at how much the handwriting has changed between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And
It might be they called him on his handwriting.
let's go to the top and look at his signature as well.
Yeah, that's dramatically different even.
And even
It's
the
like he's in a
form.
hurry and sloppy on this one.
I'm just wondering if he had somebody out there doing the census in his name.
Yes. Okay, so this is the one that's clear and we can understand and is legible.
Right.
And this is one that you go, what?
Those are two different people. Those are two different people. Look at
The J?
yeah, look at the J again. One, the J is entirely above the line, and the second one, the J goes below the line. I think he had somebody out there doing his rounds. And so he had no idea what they'd already covered, you know.
And this could be him and someone else came and did that one or vice versa.
Right.
Who knows?
I'm inclined to say the well-written one is him.
So-
And
The columns are all different too on the one form versus the other form where they got these darker numbers to the left side.
Yeah.
but the column headings,
Yeah, the columns, and then you've got different numbers after that too, for house numbers or whatever.
Yes, the house
Yes.
numbers are dramatically different.
the
And-
house numbers are the dwelling and the household in the order in which he visited them.
Okay, it's
Well,
not necessarily.
he has it right here. If you see, Richard is in house number 106. And if you go over here,
Richard's in household
hold
106.
106.
That
But
is,
this
is in family 106.
106.
And
Okay.
But
he's
this
in
number
house
right here
Is
is
the same.
different.
104,
Your guess is as good as mine. Yep, 104.
and scroll up, and she's in a definitely different house.
And
So she-
yeah, and see, but I can see where they could take this one census and go, oh yeah, Richard's the father of all these kids. Now, going back to the sisters, Sarah and Elizabeth, I think they're sister-in-laws, maybe.
Right.
I think Sarah was married to a Chambers, and that's why her kids have the last name Chambers. We're also talking about the 1850s. Isn't the Civil War going on during this time?
No,
Or
not for 10 years.
not for okay, so that's not. So where's the father? That is the question: is where is their father, and who? That's what started the initial research was who really are the parents of Sarah's children, and
Can you
who's his father?
give
and-
me control? I want to take a look at what's his number?
Absolutely.
Jasper's number?
Jasper is 9MZTTYL.
Okay, I'm
And
gonna
how do
I'm gonna
I-
pull.
Stop share. Stop.
Okay.
There we go.
And let
Yay.
me see. All right. And I need to pull this down just a little bit.
But just doing a general poll of my genealogy class here. Aside from what we just learned with the censuses, do you guys believe in the late 1850s or mid 1850s that a man would be in one house? He's full-blooded Indian, Creek Indian, living on I don't think he's on the reservation, but living as an Indian, practicing Indian ways, having two women, and the whole community, it's just common knowledge that he's the father of both of these women's children. Do you believe
Not
that
likely.
the community would have been accepting of this?
Yeah, not
I mean,
likely.
they're not very accepting of Indians either. I find it just mind-boggling that the family has just been like, oh yeah, Doris said it was true. No, look at the document. She's saying, no, I can't prove this except for this one census. And now that we can look at the census, we can see why maybe they thought it was the same household, but
Right.
why my family wants to keep on telling me that, no, this is the father.
Yeah.
I think
okay. So
Anyway,
we've got we've got, and I can't, let's see, we'll open that one and we'll open this one until we can find which one had the clear. Okay.
The one you attached has the clearer image.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So we have here a Sarah. What we're going to do is we want to find this family in the 1840 census. Okay, and so what I'm going to do,
Could Sarah be Richard's sister?
But Sarah, if her husband has already died,
Could she
then
be,
she would be on it. But if not, in 1840, it's going to be the husband's name, and
Correct.
we don't know that. So we'd just be
we
looking
do
for
have
neighbors.
information about the family from this census. So what I would do is I create a little, sort of like a little table.
One of these days, I got to get you to teach me how to do that.
Well, we're doing it right now.
You're doing it.
but you don't think Sarah is Richard Kennedy's sister? Maybe her husband died, and that's why they're all living together?
That
Because he's related,
But she's
next
living in a
to-
house next door.
next door. And that could be. It could be, and that she's the one that married Chambers, and she's Richard's sister, not Elizabeth's sister.
right, it could be either, or, I mean, maybe either.
But I kind of, would make more sense because we don't know that Elizabeth's
Like a big
maiden
brother,
name.
you know, looking over, watching out for his sister because the husband died.
Or are they just coincidentally neighbors and have no relationship at all?
Well, yeah, I guess, true. But everybody seems to think they all live together, so.
But they're not living together.
No, not on that one. Mm-mm.
Right. Okay, so then we've got Betsy, age 18. And Martha is age 12.
13.
Okay.
In
And then we
1850,
have-
Jasper would have been 10.
Well, Jasper could have been a newborn.
Oh, 1840, yeah.
Yeah, he's listed
Newborn.
as 9.
My bad.
So this is in 1850. So in 1840, we're going to expect Sarah to be 33, a daughter who is 8, a daughter who is 2, and possibly, I am suspecting a son here. So we've got here a female who is age 8, a female who is age 2. We could have a child who died, or we could have a son who is working out. But we'll just put unknown, who would be about 4 to 6 years old. So let's see if we're able to find the 1840 census for this family. Now,
How far back did they do censuses?
starting with 1790.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Right. So, we had the Constitution in 1787, and then they did the census in 1790, 1800, 10.
Okay.
And so even if you were a territory of the United States, you would get in the census.
Okay.
So looking at the neighborhood that she's in, we've got Insall Fair. Now she is from North Carolina. Her children were all born in Georgia. So we're seeing a migration here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they moved.
Right. So they were in Georgia in 1840.
And were the Kennedys also North Carolina?
Let's take a look. So we've got the Kennedys. He's North Carolina. His oldest children are North Carolina, and then we have a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So from, it looks like from 1839 to 1814, they were in South Carolina. And so around 1839, now this is actually a different person's name. So this isn't even his child, I think. Well, I'm not going to worry about that for now. But it looks like we're in deeper trouble than I had thought. I had hoped that perhaps she was with Richard Kennedy, but I think Richard Kennedy is simply an incidental neighbor. From the birth of this child in 1846 back to the birth of this child in 1832, the family that Sarah's with was in Georgia. And whereas Richard's family was in Georgia starting in 1839. Is that right? No, 1841, sorry. And so he may have come
before.
He may have, let me think. They were in Georgia. He may have joined them in Georgia from South Carolina. But they were in Georgia. They may have come out together. So it is possible that Sarah traveled with Richard in the last 4 years, and they all came within the last 4 years. So I'm going back to things that I want to be thinking about. That all of Sarah's children were born in Georgia. And that includes the child born who was 1832 to 1846. And Richard's children were born in South Carolina from
I thought it was North Carolina.
Well, yeah, actually his children started being born in North Carolina in 1830. Mm-hmm. So they were 1830 until
33.
Right. South Carolina. And then 1834 to 1839. And I am wondering if this is Christian Berry and Calvin Berry and
Percy.
Percy may be Barry. What did the indexer think? No, they got Christian Barry. They think it's Christian Barry Kennedy. I think that's Christian. It could be that's his middle name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ages look good, 2, 7, 9, 11. It looked good to be. A later census would tell us if that's Christian Barry or not. I would want to check. Okay, so beginning in 1841, Richard was in Georgia. (1841)
48
to 1848, and she was also born in Georgia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what we could try is we could try and see if we can find a Chambers who is in his. So for Chambers, we're looking for a male Chambers, probably in his mid-30s, with 3 children, under 10, possibly 1 male, or maybe all female. All right, so let's go to the 1840 census for Georgia and do a search for a Chambers. And we'll go to search, records, new tab, and do a search for Chambers. Come on, computer, cooperate here. Chambers, and we're looking for a residence in Georgia in 1840. And let's see what we've got. You always hope at this stage that there's only one Chambers family in the 1840 census. Okay, but instead we have 33. Okay. I'm going to save this one for the moment, and let's go and see if we can find a Richard Kennedy living in except our Richard Kennedy we know is not necessarily in Georgia in 1840.
Yeah, right.
I have some information on him. I was just trying to find it. I finally found it. I'm fixing to send you the link.
Okay.
Good gravy.
So let's just pull this set of Chambers down, and we know that we're going to be looking for a man because he had a son born 4 years ago. So let's just go through and see what the tick marks look like for, there's only 33 of them. And so John, he's got too many tick marks. And we'll leave him open. Elizabeth, let's just leave it open on the chance. and see what she's got.
Okay, in the blog link that I just sent you, about a third of the way down the page, it says that in December 18th, 1840, the South Carolina legislature confirms the Treaty of the North Nation Ford, ending the leasing system, and gave one-time payout to eligible Catawbas because the Catawbas were leasing their land, the reservation land, and so this treaty ended that. It is apparent that Richard Kennedy took this one-time lump sum. He, along with his new wife, Elizabeth Chambers, who was married previously and has a son previous from that marriage, but she died. It's all in this blog, but I'm trying to just get to the point of what we're looking for. I believe this says that household, that's 106, that's 1850 census. So it is apparent that Richard Kennedy took this one-time lump sum along with his new wife, and the Kennedy estate papers reflect that Richard and Elizabeth intermarried in North Carolina and crossed the Savannah River to Georgia, most likely to live next door to Elizabeth's sister. This is another guy that believes that Sarah's the sister, as the birth locations of Sarah's children indicate that she had been living in Georgia from 1832 to 1848.
All right. So.
But I thought this was going to tell me where he was in 1840. But what I'm gathering from this is that he's on the reservation in 1840. In 1840, it does. In the 1840 census, Richard Kennedy is recorded in the census of Chester District, South Carolina, less than 5 minutes from the reservation, and he was found as a laborer.
Okay. All right, so we've got and that's what we figured, that he was still living in South Carolina. And they say that Sarah is, okay, so Elizabeth's sister. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. Now, it suggests that Richard's wife's name was Chambers.
Mm-hmm. I've not seen any documentation of that, but that's what they say.
Okay.
That's what they're trying to say, is that Sarah married. Sarah had kids with Richard, and that's why her kids are named Chambers, and that Elizabeth and Sarah were Sarah Chambers and Elizabeth Chambers, and they were sisters, and that Richard married Elizabeth and fathered Sarah's kids too, and that they all lived in this big happy house together, and he was an Indian, and nobody cared. By it.
Okay, well, they do at least have...
That's the 1850 census that we're talking about right here.
But, they notice that it's the household, so they are...
Separate households.
Separate households. Well, let's just see. So in that case, I'm going to want to look at this in more detail to see where they determined that Elizabeth and Sarah are sisters, and that Elizabeth is a Chambers. It says that they intermarried in North Carolina according to the estate papers. So that would be when he died. Did it name her as Elizabeth Chambers in his estate papers? So we've got 13 mentions of Elizabeth. But where do we know that, possibly from his children's records, that she's Elizabeth Chambers? So let's go back to Jasper, and we're going way off, but That's just how life is. All right, so there's the suspicion that Elizabeth is the sister of Sarah. And Elizabeth married Richard, and Elizabeth had a bunch of children. And what records do we have for Elizabeth? We do have something on Find a Grave, but is that... Okay, that does not say Chambers on it.
I've been to that graveyard and done the same thing, photographed the for my own records just to see if I could find. I wanted to see the graves next to each other. I wanted to see if it would give me a clue. And,
So I don't, we see this legacy record, the 1850 census. So I'm still not seeing the evidence that her name is Chambers. Let us see, did she have a child who died late? Henry. Do we have a death certificate for Henry?
Find grave.
No. I'm not.
And that's a great book that they've attached there, God's Ghosts and Grannies, but also the author of that book, she's still living. I've talked to her. She also believes this whole
story.
Yeah. And there's only 3 of us that are trying to debunk it, and one's using DNA, but the DNA is so far removed from that family. That's years in the coming to figure that out.
How do we know?
I'm trying to find documentation. And I also want to say, hey, okay, guys, y'all believe that's true? Fine. Show me the proof. And then they go back to Doris Newsom's stuff. And I'm like, no.
No, proof is the will. I mean, something of John Chambers that says that Elizabeth is his daughter. How do we know that?
No one's ever proved that John Chambers is connected to this family, and we don't. Those that really do this research, we don't believe that that's our guy.
Okay.
But getting people, like, I can detach that all day long, and someone's going to come behind me and put it right back there and argue with me on there. So I'm just waiting until I can find the proof.
All right. So what we're left with is, and this is going to give me something that I can fuss with this week. First off, we wanted to see, can we find a Chambers living in
1840?
In the 1840 census that satisfies our household of a male in his mid-30s with 3 children under 10.
And that's where we're looking for tick marks, right? Because I always have trouble once we go past 1850.
And so we looked at 1840,
and where are we looking? What state?
Georgia, because the children from 1832 to 1846 were all born in Georgia. And so here we have Elizabeth
Chambers,
and she has in the 1840 census, it goes 5, 10, 15, and this isn't going to work because we're looking for one female who is under 5.
Well, that would be her sister anyway. That would be Elizabeth Chambers, not Sarah Chambers.
Right. But I'm looking for this household on the possibility that, let's say, Sarah was living with her sister Elizabeth.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we're looking for a female under 5. We're looking for a female 5 to 10. And we're looking for a male or a female between around 5. So we want to see one female in this column at least. And we want to see at least one female in this column.
Okay.
And we want to see either an additional female in one of these 2 columns, or we want to see one male in one of these 2 columns. That would be to account for those tick marks. And so this household doesn't provide that. We looked at this household of John Chambers, and we have one female, but we're missing the female that would be in this column. So we're just going to go through.
Question.
Yes.
So we know where Richard Kennedy was in 1840 and where to find him on the census. If we were wanting to see if, would we look that census up to see if Sarah's in that household with them?
But Sarah, we know she claims to be in Georgia. And he claims to be in South. She says all my children are born in Georgia, and he says my children were born in South Carolina until around 1841. So I'm,
because like Jasper was born in 1840, and he's born in Georgia. That's why we're looking in Georgia.
I'm looking in Georgia because Sarah's children were all born in Georgia.
Gotcha.
So Sarah's children are, Sarah was in Georgia from 1832 to 1846. We know that she's there in 1840. Richard, he's moving around. And, I mean, here he is. He's got children in 1833, born in North Carolina. And Sarah's got a child born in 1832 in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't,
I
would not leap to the conclusion that Sarah's child born in 1832 is Richard's child.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go through looking for the Shavers. Yell when you see it.
I'm writing notes because I'm going to be writing a paper to debunk this theory. And that right there was a good nugget, that how could the one born in 1832 be Richard's child?
All right, and so here we're looking at, we actually have two households, a William and a Daniel. So we're going to get two with one stone. He has one male in that. That's good. He has one female, but we're missing the female. No, wait, we're missing the female in this column. So he doesn't work, nor does Daniel. So neither William nor Daniel work. So we've got C. Let's see what he's got. And now another thing, this tells me over here about where it's going to be on the page. And it tells me who it's around. So we've got a C. Shiver and a Daniel Shiver towards the bottom.
I'll just go drive over there.
Sometimes it works, but it didn't work this time.
Yeah, they're the bottom.
Yeah, but I don't see a William C.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already covered him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now this one is John or Jonathan. And he should be at the top. And we've got him, but we've got no daughters. That won't work. And he should be at the very bottom. Michael. No, we've got a daughter or missing a daughter, and we don't have the daughter there. And this is a William. And that should be towards the bottom. Did I miss him?
I didn't see it.
Oh, it's at the very top. So
Yeah.
much for that. That didn't help me. Okay, he's got a whole bunch of young kids. He's got a bunch of girls. I would have to, and he is 30 to 40, so he's the right age, and she's the right age. So this family could be it if about 8 of them were wiped out, which, you know, possible. You know, we would have lost 2. This child actually would have grown up and been
On its own.
possibly on his own, but we would have had to lose 2 children here, and we would have had to have lost 2 children here. So we would have had to have lost 4 children. These 2 could have been on their own. So
Are we looking at the very top line there?
this
No,
is
no, no. Okay,
about
now I'm with
carried
you. Okay.
over.
Okay, I see it now.
It's like, my God,
Okay.
they've got 46 children.
I know, that's why I was like, what? I thought that last name was Chambers. I didn't see the one underneath. Okay.
All right, so let's go look at ransom. I find this kind of genealogy very relaxing. It's going to take me a while to do. I've got something very specific that I'm looking for, and I just work my way through. Okay, so here we're missing the daughters, so he's no good.
And don't forget to document what you've already searched.
Oh, yeah.
I find myself in a tailspin, realizing
Yeah.
later I'll come across something. I'm like, oh, I already saw this. I'm
Yeah,
learning.
strong sense of deja vu.
I'm learning to write down as I go what I've already seen.
James.
Okay, we're missing a daughter here.
Are we getting close to time?
Yeah,
We've
it's
got
102.
we're almost gonna go out. I doubt we're gonna find this beforehand.
Mm-mm.
Okay, missing a daughter here. If we go out, I'm gonna keep on this.
Thank you, and I'm a phone call away. If you
And-
need anything, I'll be working towards it too.
Because, you know, this brings an interesting question. We have that blog that provides us some facts, but it leaves a lot unverified. And so we've got to verify it. Again, we're missing the girls. And so I'd like to see whether I can find some proof that John is the father, and you know, see if I can find out what these people were basing this on. Okay. So we're down to our 10-minute warning. Warren, well, we've got the 2 girls here, but we have no other child. That's possible. This is the most possible one so far, because he is in his 30s. No, he's in his 20s. Let's see what she's in. She would have to be in her 30s. Where did he go?
Keep going. A little bit further.
There he is. Okay. And she is... Okay, she's too young. Okay, she's too young. Okay, let's keep going with Manning Shiver. Okay, so here we have a possibility. We have 1 daughter, 0 to 5, 2 daughters, 5 to 10, which means next year they would be 15 to 20. This daughter could have moved out. So one of the daughters could have been married off. We have a son who may have died. Let's see what age she is in this column. 30 to 40, yeah, she's in the right age. So I'm going to pull this guy into a separate window, and we'll come back and research that family if we don't find anybody else. But let me tell you what I will do. So I will go through all of these and do this same test to see if I can find any that fit my criteria for having
Did you see the, I'm sorry, did you see the family tree symbol next to Manning?
Right, that's a good point. That
tell me what does that mean?
What that means is that somebody has already researched the family.
Okay.
So Manning is the one that we think is a possibility. He's already in the tree. Let's go to look at him. And if somebody has identified all of these children for us, then that solves our problem. We don't have to worry. Oh, interesting. They think his wife is named Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
They have him dying before 1870.
And there's an Elizabeth.
But they continue to have children. And if there's an 1850 census, we don't need to worry about him.
Yeah, 1850, 1860, and 1870.
Right. And so,
he's in them.
Right, so we've got Manning and Sarah, and we've got the children. All right, so we don't have to worry about Manning. He's already been
good catch.
Thank you much. Okay.
Anything to save time.
Yeah. Because what I would do is I would then create a profile for him, and I would research him.
That is something I don't understand, how to create a profile. It seems like you have to attach it to you. How do you create a profile for someone that's not a part of your family?
Okay.
I know we probably don't have enough time, but
no, this one's an easy one. So here we have Alfred Shiver. All right. So I'm going to go to a screen here. Up at the top, we have this row of options. Recents gives me the option to add unconnected person.
Oh, yay.
Right.
Okay, that's simple enough.
So I'm going to create Alfred Shiver, and he's a male and he's deceased. And that's all I know about him.
Yeah.
And so I'll create him. And I'm going to copy that ID number. And now I'm going to go back to, here it is, Alfred Shiver. What do I know about him from this record? I know that he is in this column. He's 20 to 30 years old in 1840. So he was born between 1810 and 1820. All right, so let's add this. And we're going to, he's actually the first on my list. Select him, and we'll add this and attach. And now I'm going to go back to him. And I'm going to add that information that I have about his birth. And I think it's between 1810, 1820. Family Search is saying, I want you to say he was born from 1810 to 1820. And that's my standardized date. So now I have him in here, and I can go in, and this will be my final point to you. I can go in and I can research the bejesus out of him.
Excuse me, would you attach that record to him?
Yes, I did.
When you did that, oh, okay, it attached it. I'm sorry.
So I have created this individual based entirely on this one record. And the birth that I have added, I should put this in here, is he's age 20 to 30 in the 1840 census. All right? So this information is all I've got. Now, when I start researching him, let's start researching him for where is the location that he's initially in. He was in Dooley, Georgia. So let's go in and look for anything in Dooley, Georgia, and set that as a restriction. And I'm going to widen this up because, you know, people were never reliable about that. And so here I have him in the 1840 census. Here I have an A.C. Shivers who married in 1874.
He's married to a Kennedy.
Kennedy, yeah.
And somebody's got him in the tree. Let's see if that's an Alfred. So, if he was an Alfred, they would have said he's an Alfred. They don't know what he is. They've got just that one record of his marriage. Okay.
Oh, and you know who did that? Family Search did that.
Or it was done so far ago that we no longer, and you're right, they actually did. They created those branchlets just based on the marriage records. All right, so we don't have anything else for an Alfred Shiver in Dooley, Georgia. Let's expand that out to Georgia as a whole.
We're less than a minute, guys.
I know. And so here we have an Alfred Shiver in 1850 census, married to a Mary. And here we have an Alfred Shiver born in 1816. All right, so we're going to have to look at both of these. And I am not going to have time, but I will decide which of these, and when you go back to this, you will see which of them I have chosen as being our Alfred Shiver.
All right, to be continued.
To be continued.
So have a great